Hello, I'm going to be talking about conducting a structured interview. The best way to approach the subject is to ask a few questions. So what is a structured interview? Also, how does a structured interview differ from an unstructured interview? Now, many HR professionals would profess to tell you that they know these answers and that they apply the best choice in their practice. However, many are only partly right. So let's define a structured interview and see what it is composed of. Well, first, the same questions are asked of all of the applicants. Second, there's a standardized scoring system that is applied to each question. And third, the questions, they're specific and related to the job. Now, getting back to the HR professionals argument, we see that many HR professionals do in fact ask all of the applicants the same questions. And therefore, this is the reason they assume they're doing the structured interview process. But what they sometimes forget is that they forget to satisfy the other criteria. For example, they either don't score each question independently on a rating scale, or they don't ask questions that are specific to the job, or maybe they don't do both. Also, in doing unstructured interviews, the HR professionals, they're subject to certain errors that are common to the unstructured interview process. Now I want to talk a little bit about interview administration. The question to ask is, how should an interview be administered? Well, first there's the introductions. The interview begins with the introductions, and then it moves on with a description of what will happen at the interview. The interview will be a bit stressful to many candidates. Not only will the interviewee have to answer difficult, complicated, and unforeseen questions, but also he or she may have to do this in front of a panel of people, and this can be a little bit intimidating. In addition, everything they say is going to be recorded and analyzed and scrutinized, and this adds a further layer of stress to an already stressful situation. The manager, or the interviewer, should identify this potential stressor and notify the candidate ahead of time of the process, especially of the fact that things will be written down. This will help the candidate to better prepare for the challenge. So after the description, there'll be questions that are asked of the candidate. And there are various types of questions, such as skill testing questions, disqualifier questions, and hypothetical situational questions. Now, the situational questions were always the most difficult questions for me, and in fact, they are also very difficult to create. The best way to approach creating these are from logs of real-world incidents, which have occurred at the company. And these real-world events, they can be reworded such that they can be compared with the hypothetical answer that a job seeker would give. Now, after the job-specific questions, there should be a bit of time allotted at the end to check out whether or not the person may actually be a fit for the company. This is kind of a misunderstood area, and it's basically figuring out the organizational fit. To figure out organizational fit, ask the job seeker about their vision, about their goals and objectives, and compare those with those of the company. This should be enough to gain a complete picture. Hopefully, every question has been scored, and then the scores can be averaged to produce a final score to serve as the basis of comparison to other candidates.